So I bought the new DJI Action 5 Pro. This is my second action camera in the last 10 years or so. By the way, this video is not sponsored by DJI, so you're gonna get my honest opinion. What do I love about this camera and what don't I love? How does it compare to my all-time favorite travel vlogging camera, the DJI Pocket 3? Let's dive in. Now, full disclosure, I did want to talk about a couple different things. First off, I'm going to be filming the entire talking head using the Pocket 3. After all, this is a comparison video between the Action 5 Pro and the Pocket 3, so instead of using my Sony a7S III or whatever, I figured it'd be a good idea just to use the Pocket 3, and of course, I will be switching between the footage. Now, the DJI Mic 2 is connected to the Pocket 3, and we'll be connecting it between the two cameras, and then obviously using also the built-in microphones. I'm at a park, so you have to excuse all the noise, but yeah. The other thing that I want to talk about is I don't have any ND filters for the DJI Action 5 Pro, but I didn't buy it to be the cinematic powerhouse that the Pocket 3 is. I very much bought it to be an action camera and to give that first-person view or perspective. So I'm gonna let the camera take care of the shutter speed and just show you what that looks like, right? Between two cameras. Now, obviously, if you get ND filters, then you're basically gonna match up the cinematic image at 24 frames per second between the two cameras. So let's talk about this a little bit more. So yeah, this is my second action camera in the last 10 years or so. I wasn't really an action camera guy. Nothing wrong with them, but I always felt like they gave you, well, an action camera image, and the sensors were so small, the low light capabilities were terrible, there wasn't really good microphones built into them or a way to connect to microphones without getting like a dongle and all that stuff. I just didn't want to deal with it. I have had smaller cameras, pocket travel cameras before. I've done a review on the Pocket 3 several times, and of course I've also owned the Insta360 X3, which I returned because the Pocket 3 was much, much better. I wanted to buy this camera to be a first-person view camera, an action camera, and I found that it has a lot of strengths over the Pocket 3, where the Pocket 3 kind of fell short, but there's also some weaknesses, and we'll talk about all of that today. So going forward, these are going to complement each other. So with that being said, let's do a quick unboxing. I'm not going to go crazy, but I'm going to show you guys what I bought, which package I bought, and we'll talk about the features between these two cameras. What makes the Action 5 Pro different?
Alright, so I did get the Adventure package, which does come with a great selfie stick, but more importantly, a battery charging case with 3 extra batteries that can give you up to 4 hours of use. But what really separates the Action 5 is its ruggedness and the ability to be waterproof up to 20 meters without any additional cases. Side note, I really hate the case that comes in the Adventure package. Highly recommend you guys update that. Now, the lenses and the sensors are a bit different on the Action 5 versus the Pocket 3. Action 5 sports an f2.8 while the Pocket 3 has a 1-inch CMOS sensor with f2.0, letting in a bit more low light.
So obviously these are both DJI cameras, which means they're both going to feature the DJI app. How's the app? Well, if you guys own a DJI camera before, you'll know that the DJI Mimo app, I believe it's called, it's okay. It still needs a lot of work. Sometimes things don't connect correctly and things like that. But overall, yeah, the app is great. You can control the cameras remotely through the app. You can record and download the images and the footages and things like that, and even create things from the app to post to social media. So it's a good app and it's a good start, but I've found that it's sometimes lacking, it's sometimes buggy, it doesn't connect correctly, it's slow, live view is kind of slow, and just pairing the devices can be a little tricky. But DJI has done a great job of rolling out firmware updates to, you know, keep the cameras relevant and adding features to, for example, like the DJI Pocket 3, which I think is pretty darn good. So what about image quality? The Pocket 3 versus the DJI Action 5 Pro. I mean, Are they basically the same thing? Are they using the exact same sensors? Pretty much. I mean, I found them to be pretty comparable to each other. The differences lie between that mechanical gimbal and the electronic stabilization. That's where you're starting to get that action camera look versus a little bit more of a mirrorless camera look with the Pocket 3, but not quite a mirrorless camera, right? The Pocket 3 is still far off, but for what it is, it's amazing. And for what this is, it's also amazing. This is daylight right now. This is what the image quality looks like in daytime. Let me show you guys a couple of side-by-side images. Another thing is stabilization. How's the stabilization between the two? I'm gonna run around like a clown back and forth and give you guys an idea of how stabilization looks between a mechanical gimbal and digital. So first we have the DJI Pocket 3. Next, let's check out the Action 5 Pro. So let's talk about vlogging for a second. Which camera do I like to vlog with more? Right now it's daylight, best possible image quality you're gonna get. It's around 4 o'clock, so the sun is coming down, and I'm holding them both arms away, right? I'm not using the selfie stick, I'm not extending that out or anything like that. And honestly, right out of the gate, the Action 5 Pro has a wider field of view, so it feels a little bit easier to vlog with. But the Pocket 3 does come with that lens, and I can stretch out my arm and kind of get the same thing, right? I can tell you that I like both of them. With the Pocket 3, you have the built-in gimbal, so it just feels natural, and you can just kind of adjust the image and get it the way that you want it, and there's less of that jitter, right? Because you have a mechanical gimbal that's working for you. But with the Action 5 so far, the stabilization has been fantastic. That's where I think the DJI Action 5 Pro really comes in handy. So obviously another thing is I bought the selfie stick with the DJI Action 5 Pro to get a different perspective. I mean, right now I'm fitting the Pocket 3 in this footage, no problem. That's one of the reasons why I bought the Adventure Pack. The selfie stick definitely gives you a different perspective, but there's also another option that both of these cameras have that can give you a great perspective as well. Active track. And they're quite different from one another. Okay, so as I said, subject tracking is very different between these two cameras. So right now the Action 5 Pro is doing a little bit of subject tracking. I can't actually tell, really, to be honest with you. It does okay. I mean, for an action camera, it's basically reframing the shot based on the image resolution, right? But the Pocket 3 actually has a gimbal. So it's not only reframing the shot and repurposing it through that gimbal, but you're keeping the 4K resolution. The Action 5 Pro right now is shooting at 2.7K at 24p, and the Pocket 3 is at full 4K resolution at 24p. And this is what active tracking looks like on both of them. I think this is a clear advantage to the Pocket 3 right now. The Pocket 3 just has better tracking because of that gimbal. The gimbal gives you really big advantages when it comes time to using a gimbal, right? A mechanical gimbal. But of course, the Action 5 also has some advantages over the Pocket 3. So let's talk about that real quick. A huge advantage to the Osmo Action 5 Pro versus the Pocket 3 is the Action 5 Pro feels more rugged. It feels more like an action camera and can withstand a little bit more abuse. Nothing against the Pocket 3, but one of the biggest cons to the Pocket 3 is it does feel a little bit plasticky, right? And because of the mechanical gimbal, it can be fragile. So between the two, if I was gonna go snowboarding, I would pick this camera. And of course, another huge advantage is the Action 5 is waterproof up to a certain depth, but you can also buy accessories to make it even more waterproof. Right now I'm out in the rain and I'm using night mode. And night mode has its limitations. For example, you can only go 2K, you can actually use 4K, and you can obviously do 1080, but it does enhance the low light capabilities. But most importantly, I would never do this with my Osmo Pocket 3. It is not waterproof. So big advantage to the Action 5 Pro. So another big deal that a lot of you are going to be interested in, obviously, is low light performance. How do they both do in low light? So they each have their super low light mode, or let me see what they call it. Sorry, super night mode. And I kind of already know that the Pocket 3 does a really good job in low light, and that's with just manual settings, me just changing things manually. I have so much footage of the Pocket 3 impressing me with the low light abilities, and the Action 5 Pro is no different. It's one of the big reasons why I went with DJI, one of the big reasons why I chose DJI over GoPro. GoPro is horrendous when it comes to low light. Beautiful in daylight, but low light, GoPro just doesn't cut it for me. Overall, I would say it's pretty comparable to the Pocket 3, and they both do a great job. And they have tiny sensors. It's crazy. So you probably noticed that I have a few accessories for the DJI Action 5 Pro. I'm not gonna go into full details on all the accessories that I bought. I mean, obviously I have a cage and a few other things. I'm probably gonna make a separate video, so look for that real soon. Otherwise, the video would be way too long. And today, I just really wanna focus on these two cameras, the differences, the similarities, and where they fit and play well together. Okay, so what about sound? Built-in microphones. So I have both the cameras right. I turned off the lav mic, and we have the DJI Pocket 3 set at front, which would be the most ideal. I don't see a way to do that with the Action 5 Pro. I'm assuming it doesn't have the 360-degree microphone placement that the Pocket 3 has, but it does have like wind or noise reduction, and I have that on right now. There's no way of changing the settings once you hit record. I have that on right now. So how's the onboard microphones? Is there a clear difference between the Action 5 Pro? There's a lot of noise right now. There's an airplane going ahead, there's kids playing, all that stuff. And of course, how's the Pocket 3? In my personal opinion, they do just fine. There's nothing wrong with the onboard mics if you're in a pinch, but it's always better to use an external microphone. And the DJI Mic 2 that came with the Pocket 3. See, I'm winning here, right? So the selfie stick came with the Action 5, we're gonna use it on the Pocket 3, and the DJI Mic 2 came with the Pocket 3, and we're gonna use it on the Action 5. Also pairs, Bluetooth-wise, with the Action 5 Pro. So you're getting the best of both worlds, right? I think having an external microphone, a lav microphone, the DJI Mic 2, whatever you want, is always going to be 10-fold better than any onboard microphone. So what are my final thoughts? Honestly, action cameras have came a long way. This is definitely better than the last camera that I had, the Action camera, and way better than the first one that I had. The Action 5 Pro has exceeded my expectations, but I think that these two cameras complement each other. I'm gonna be using the Action 5 Pro where or when the Pocket 3 falls short. For things like, you know, if I need something more rugged, if I need something that's waterproof, right? If I wanna get that first person view, just wear it, set it and forget it, get that action camera look. Obviously, this is where the Action 5 Pro really excels. But the DJI Pocket 3 with the mechanical gimbal and being able to get that cinematic shot, they're both honestly hitting above their weight class. I was really surprised by the image quality on both of these cameras. But if I could only have one, which one would I buy? That's sort of a loaded question. Honestly, it depends on you, because certain features you may love and other features you may hate, which could mean the world to somebody else. It depends on the content you're making. But if I could only have one, which thankfully I can have both, but if I can only have one, it would be the DJI Pocket 3 because I'm looking for more of that cinematic shot. I like the DJI Pocket 3, and for me, it's the perfect vlogging, companion camera, family camera, capturing those moments and so forth. But the Action 5 Pro may be the perfect camera for you. I don't know. If you can, I would say get both of them. They both truly complement each other. Going forward, for me at least, anytime I'm using something that's action-based, more rugged, I don't know if it's gonna rain or not, the weather looks kind of iffy, I'm taking this guy. But for most of the time, I'm gonna take both of them because they both do things really well, and the image is so similar that it's easy to edit the two footages together and make an amazing story with two camera perspectives now. And that's the big deal here, right? I'll give you an example. I like to shoot a lot of behind the scenes footage for when I'm doing client work on our professional shoots, using our big boy cinema cameras, our expensive cameras. We've been using the Pocket 3 for that. I'm gonna start taking this guy with me and wearing it and giving you guys that first person perspective view. Also for my cooking channel, when I'm cooking certain things, this is a great camera to give another perspective, another first person view. Of course, that's not what I'm only gonna use these cameras for, but I'm giving you an example of how they complement each other. Honestly, the DJI Action 5 Pro has completely changed my mind on action cameras, and I can't wait to see what kind of content we come up with. That's it for me, guys. I hope you found this video informative, and if you did, please consider subscribing and joining our channel memberships. I'll catch you on the next video. Take care, everybody.